Okay. So, let us carry on. So we are looking at the Seven Sons Sutta. So let's finish off the Seven Sons. And so the Buddha is saying, he's using this idea, the illustration of the seven sons to show how unreliable all phenomena in the world are, how even the biggest things in the world, like the earth and the solar system or the universe, all of that is uncertain and unreliable and impermanent. And he goes on and he says the following: who would ever think or believe that this earth and scenery, king of mountains, will burn and crumble and be no more, except for one who has seen the truth? Yeah, so he's kind of, you can see here that he is thinking that people may not believe him. Yeah, why would they believe the Buddha when he says something which seems to be so outrageous? No one at that time had any idea that the earth would burn up. That doesn't make any sense. How can the earth burn up? How can the suns that appear and all these things? It must have seemed very strange to those people. Now we know that it is true, but for them it seems really weird. And so this kind of also undermines the fact that the Buddha had some kind of special knowledge to be able to understand what was going on. Yeah, so who would know this except for one who has seen the truth? Can't remember what the Pali is, but obviously he's referring to someone with that kind of insight. Does anyone have the Pali available? Piyadasi, do you know what the Pali is? No? Don't know what it is? Okay. Okay, never mind. So it doesn't right matter. It's kind of some Pali word that expresses that. Okay. Then the sutta carries on, and now we come to the metta part of this sutta. Yes, it's a long sutta, and it starts off with these similes, and then it comes to the metta part. So it carries on. Once upon a time, this is how Buddha Pubang, this is, now you come into the realm of stories. There was a teacher called Sunetta. He was a religious founder and was free of sensual desire. He had many hundreds of disciples. He taught them the path to rebirth in the company of Brahma. So, the idea here, he is a religious founder. In other words, he's an important religious person. And this is a long time ago. This is kind of going into ancient history. Free of sensual desire, vitarago, means that he was someone who was achieving jhanas, deep samadhi. That's kind of the idea there. Vitarago has that sense to it. And he had lots of disciples, and he taught them the path to rebirth, the company of Brahma, because that's what he taught them. He taught them those achievement of those jhanas, obviously. And that's how you get reborn in the company of Brahma. And whether you believe that that's permanent, which is most people would believe, or whether you come from a Buddhist point of view and you know it is impermanent, doesn't make that much difference. It's still the same company of Brahma. It makes a difference from a right viewpoint of view, but in either case, it's a company of Brahma in a certain way. So probably they must have had wrong view. They did have wrong view. We'll see that later on. Those who totally understood Sunetta's teachings were, when the body broke up after death, reborn in a good place, the company of Brahma. So those who totally realized might be a better translation here. Again, I'm not sure what the Pali is because I haven't got the Pali in front of me. My computer is fully occupied with what you see on the screen, so I can't see anything else. So fully realized that teaching, they went there. Those who didn't fully realize Sunetta's teaching, some, when the body broke up after death, were reborn in the company of the gods who control the creations of others. Paranimita Vasavati Devas. Some were reborn in the company of the gods who love to create. Some, the joyful gods, these are the joyful gods are the Tusita Devas. The gods of Yama, the gods of the 33, the gods of the 4 great kings. Yeah? So it's not understood here, it's the degree to which you realize these teachings. So if you realize the jhanas, you achieve them fully, then you get reborn with the Brahma. If you meditation isn't quite that good, then you go to one of these other realms. The worse your meditation is, the worse the heavenly realm is that you go to afterwards. But it's nice, you get a little bit of good meditation, already you kind of have directing your mind to the heavenly realms. That's kind of the part of the idea here. Some were reborn in the company of well-to-do aristocrats and Brahmins or householders. So they people like you. So if you don't practice these teachings properly, I don't know if you were Buddhist in the past, maybe some of you were kind of practicing with sunnetta in the past, and then you get reborn in a good place in Malaysia in the present life. I don't know. Just guessing here. So this is a time, sunnetta, a long time in the past. You can see people are still practicing the spiritual life, but they don't have the full insight or the full understanding of the Buddhism or the Buddha. And so they have a kind of temporary holiday in the heavenly realms, but there is no liberation from that. And then comes the kind of the interesting part, which deals directly with metta practice. Then the teacher Sunnetta thought, it is not proper for me to be reborn in the next life in exactly the same place as my disciples. Why don't I further develop metta? It's kind of, maybe he feels a bit embarrassed. He gets reborn with his disciples in the next realm. The disciples are asking, you are only with us, you should be higher up, you're the teacher. I don't know. So there's many kinds of motivations, for getting reborn in the practicing well. This is one of those motivations. You're using your pride almost to make sure you get reborn in a high place. Then Sunnetta developed metta for 7 years. 7 years developing metta, higher and higher. Having done so, he did not return to this world for 7 eons of cosmic expansion and contraction. 7 eons, so this would have been a very high Brahmaloka, maybe the 2nd or 3rd jhana or something like that. And so he stayed in this Rama for 7 eons of cosmic expansion and contractions. This is where you have this idea of the cosmos expanding and contracting again, the cycles of existence. Then after 7 eons, when the cosmos contracted, he went to the realm of streaming radiance. This is the Abhasara Loka, and so he disappeared from there and he went to a lower realm because something was happening when the cosmos was contracting, and as it expanded, he was reborn in an empty mansion of Brahma. The idea here is that when the cosmos is contracting, you have to kind of get out of the way so the cosmos can contract, and so you go to the Abhasara Loka, the realm of streaming radiance. But then when the cosmos kind of reappears, and then you can get reborn according to your karma, then you go to the empty mansion of Brahma. It's a little bit funny how this works in the suttas. It's this kind of sense that you have to be reborn in a place because there's nowhere else to be reborn, because everything else is kind of destroyed when the cosmos contracts. Anyway, he gets reborn in the empty mansion of Brahma. Sounds good, huh? I'm sure Brahma had a very significant mansion. It probably makes the kings of Malaysia look like little schoolboys in comparison. or the king of England, or any king really. There he was Brahma, the great Brahma, the undefeated, the champion, the universal seer, the wielder of power. Then he was Sakka, Lord of the gods, 36 times. Many hundreds of times he was a king, a wheel-turning monarch, a just and principled king. His dominion extended to all 4 quarters or sides. He achieved stability in the country and possessed the 7 treasures. He had over 1,000 sons who were valiant and heroic, crushing the armies of his enemies. After conquering this land girt by sea, he reigned by principle without rod and sword. The land girt by sea is a reference actually to Australia. If you know the Australian national anthem, they talk about the land girt by sea. So again, here's a hidden reference to Australia right there in the middle of this. It's very naughty. You have to kind of be semi-Australian like me to pick these things up. Is that correct, Venerable? Yeah. She is more authentic Australian than I am, so... Okay. And he reigned by principle without rod and sword. Yet even though Sunetta lived for so long, he was not exempt from rebirth, old age, and death. He was not exempt from sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress, I say. Yeah, so the idea here is that, if you do practice metta, you can have these incredibly powerful results. But then at the end of everything, it's like you're back to square one. Yeah, back to square one, getting reborn, coming back, being an ordinary human being, coming back to the BGF, sitting behind the table, learning the suttas once again. Yeah. And this is what happens. How many times have we done this before? Maybe last time you were sitting here, I was sitting in the audience. I don't know. We change kind of the chairs, like musical chairs. You move around a little bit. And so this is life for you, yeah. And then at the end, you realize that all of this is so problematic, that you just want to give everything up because this is not the way out, even though it is very positive. So then the Buddha says, why is that? Because of not understanding and penetrating four things. What for? Not the Four Noble Truths, but the noble ethics, noble stillness, noble wisdom, and noble freedom. These noble ethics, stillness, wisdom, and freedom have been understood and comprehended. Craving for continued existence has been cut off. The attachment to continued existence is ended. Now there will be no more future lives. And so you can see, again, this is about the benefits of metta, very high benefits. But it doesn't necessarily lead to the ending of suffering unless you also have right view. So you need to add right view to the mix, and then the metta has the potential to take you all the way out of samsaric existence. That is the Seven Sons Sutta for you. So, don't know if you like the suttas. If you don't like them, then, well, so be it. But... So now we come to the Velāmasutta. This is another sutta which talks about the benefits of metta, and so it's also a little bit of a mythological sutta. So here we go. At one time the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Then the householder Anathapindika went up to the Buddha, bowed and sat down to one side. The Buddha said to him, "Householder, I wonder whether your family gives gifts." It's a bit strange to ask Anathapindika. He's already given him this amazing monastery. But anyway, it seems a little bit funny. But anyway, I'm not sure what's going on here. "It does, sir, but only coarse gruel with pickles." Okay. All right. Coarse gruel with pickles. Okay. No, this all sounds a bit funny. Maybe this is different Anathapindika. I'm not sure what's going on here. Anyway, so you can imagine that this is not the best thing to give, right? If you're going to give, you want to give something that is nice. We've already seen this before. So now this is a chance for the Buddha to show how you should be giving. And we will see at the end of the sutta how metta comes into all of this. Because all the focus here is on metta, ultimately. So, the Buddha says, householder, someone might give a gift that's either coarse or fine, but they give it carelessly, thoughtlessly, not with their own hands. They give the dregs, and they give without consideration for consequences. So here you are. This is another way of talking about how giving should be done. Ideally, how you should give. So first of all, you give either coarse or fine. Of course, it's better to give fine. We've seen this before. But in this case, because he's giving coarse, he doesn't want to say that. So he says, whether you give coarse or fine, this is how you should give. You should carelessly and thoughtlessly is a bad idea. You should give carefully, after consideration, so you know what is required. You know when it is required. And you give carefully with the attention on what you're doing, and you give with your own hands. That's a kind of very interesting one. Sometimes if you are very wealthy or whatever, you are kind of a high-class person, you get your servants to kind of take you to the monastery. Okay, go and give it to the Buddha. I'm too busy to give gifts. But actually, you should give it yourself. When you are present, when you give it to someone who is special like the Buddha, it's very powerful to be there at the time and give it. It is more humble. It is more and more powerful. You can feel kind of the situation much more, and so for that reason it actually makes a big difference. So giving with your own hands. They give the dregs, right? The dregs is kind of the bad stuff. You give the bad stuff, but you don't want to give the bad stuff. You want to give the good stuff. And so here he is kind of saying that coarse or fine, you should really be giving the fine. And the last point is also interesting here. You give without consideration for the consequences. In other words, you should consider the consequences. You should understand that this is good karma. You should understand that this will lead to something positive. That understanding, that right view is actually better than having the wrong view. And so this doesn't mean that you are greedy for the consequences. This does not mean that you are necessarily doing it with a strong sense of craving and desire. It just means you do it with understanding and knowledge of what it means. And so there's a fine difference there between the desire for good karma and understanding good karma. It's not exactly the same thing, but you do it here with that understanding in mind. Then, if you give in this way, this is all the bad way, of giving, then whatever the result of any such gift manifests, the mind doesn't incline towards enjoyment of nice food, clothes, vehicles, or the 5 refined kinds of sensual stimulation, sensual pleasures. And their children, wives, bondservants, employees, and workers don't want to listen to them. They don't pay attention or try to understand. Why is that? Because that is the result of deeds done carelessly. So if you really want to enjoy the sensual pleasures in the future, might as well enjoy it. If you have them, you're going to have them anyway, might as well enjoy it. They're still going to be limited, so you still have to go beyond them. But, we should enjoy these things. And if you want people to listen to you when you say things, then you should be careful, not careless when you do things. And then people will actually listen to you. And that's kind of handy. Your wife will listen to you, your husband will listen to you, your children will listen to you. Well, that's amazing. I don't know if that's possible, but it seems to be possible according to this. So that's unusual. Anyway, let's carry on. Someone might give a gift that is either coarse or fine, but they give it carefully, thoughtfully, with their own hand. They don't give the dregs, and they give with consideration for consequences. Then, wherever the results of any such gift manifests, their mind does incline towards enjoyment of nice food, clothes, vehicles, and the 5 refined kinds of sensual pleasure. And their children, wives, bondservants, employees, and workers, they want to listen. They pay attention and try to understand. Why is that? Because that is the result of deeds done carefully. It's interesting. You may wonder why, just because you did give in a careful way in the past life, why does people listen to you in this life? This seems to be kind of a strange connection there. And it's not. Sometimes you wonder how karma works, but one way is obviously that if you have a mind that is very careful and considerate, and you get reborn with such a mind, then people will tend to listen to you because you have that quality that people want to listen to you, that sense of kindness, of care, of carefulness. So at least there is that is more like a rational explanation, if you like. And then there is a more kind of maybe a deeper explanation that somehow this also has a deeper direct relationship between what you do in one life and what you do in the next one. Sometimes that can be quite profound. Like, for example, in one of the suttas, the Dakkhina Vibhanga Sutta, Majjhima Nikāya 142, which means the analysis of gifts, it says that there are 4 kinds of gifts. A gift is purified by either the donor or the giver by either the giver but not the donor, by the donor but not the giver, or neither the donor nor the giver. And so sometimes the gift is purified by the giver, you can understand, because when you give, you have a pure mind, it's more powerful. But the giver, the donor and the recipient. That's what I mean to say. Yeah, thank you. Giver and donor, same thing. The recipient and the donor. Yeah, so you can see why it's purified by the donor, but purified by the recipient is kind of a bit strange. So if it's purified by the Arahant, if you give it to the Arahant, you don't know whether the person is Arahant or not. So how exactly is it purified by the Arahant? That's a kind of little bit mysterious. And this is a little bit the same thing here. Is that purification? There's a bit of mystery to what is going on with these laws of karma. So I'm not entirely sure how to explain that, but sometimes there are some deeper laws in the universe that are not immediately apparent, that may be working out of sight. So anyway, now comes another once upon a time. Another story. Are you ready for another story? So the Buddha also told stories, it seems. Once upon a time is the kind of things that when you read fairy tales, they always begin with once upon a time. And so here, Buddha-pubang is not necessarily exactly the same meaning. It means like in the past, or something like that. Once upon a time, householder, there was a Brahmin named Velāma. He gave the following gift, a great offering, 84,000 gold bowls filled with silver, 84,000 silver bowls filled with gold, 84,000 bronze bowls filled with gold coins, 84,000 elephants with gold adornments and banners covered with gold netting, 84,000 chariots upholstered with the hide of lions, tigers and leopards, and cream rugs with gold adornments and banners covered with gold netting. Wow, all those poor lions, so many dead lions and tigers. That's what I was thinking when I saw this. Wow, those killing all those lions. Okay, well, he made, I don't know, hopefully he didn't make any bad karma there, otherwise kind of useless. Anyway, 84,000 milk cows with silken reins and bronze pails. Reins and pails, what is this? I'm not sure if I understand this. Anyway, my English is not good enough to understand some of these details. Reins is what you have on a horse, right? When you ride a horse. Do you have that on the cows? That's very strange. Bronze pail. What is a pail here in this case? Venerable Aryamangala. Buckets, is it? Buckets, okay. And what about the reins? That's kind of straps. Okay. Right, so why is that on the cow? Isn't that strange? Anyway, okay, I don't understand. I obviously I don't know enough about cows. So anyway, let's carry on. 84,000 maidens bedecked with jeweled earrings. 84,000 couches spread with woolen covers. Shag-piled pure white and embroidered with flowers and spread with fine deer hide, with canopies above and red pillows at both ends. Wow, the next one, I don't know how to say this, 8.4 billion, billion, 8.4 billion fine cloths of linen, cotton, silk and wool. And who can say how much food, drink, snacks, meals, refreshments and beverages? It seemed like an overflowing river. That is a serious sacrifice. I wonder who he gave it to, where he gave it. Who can possibly receive all of this? Anyway, so that's it's pretty amazing here. So did he make a lot of good karma? Maybe. 84,000 is a standard number. Yeah, it means a lot. That's what it means. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. It means a lot. Seriously, they always use these rounded numbers. Yeah, 84,000 is one of those round numbers. And it doesn't necessarily mean exactly 84,000. Yeah, it could mean 83,000. It's a number which means basically, okay, almost a lot. That's why you have 8.4 billion. Okay, I don't know exactly. Yeah. So this is standard. 500 monks come and listen to the Buddha. It's always 500, right? That also means like a lot of monks. Yeah, it doesn't mean exactly 500. If it was 499, that's also okay. Anyway, so you would have thought he made a lot of good karma, but now comes the interesting part, right? Even the overflowing of a river. So I'm not sure if I should show you what comes now, because usually I like to leave things on a cliffhanger. I'm sure you have read it already, so not much going to be much of a cliffhanger for you, but let's just have 5 minutes break before we come to the exciting part next. All right.
Ajahn, it's about the death contemplation that we did this morning.
Yeah.
I just want to share, because when you describe the scenario, we are lying on the bed within 4 walls, and I was like trying to feel it. What comes to my mind is like a lot of questions. It's like you say maybe we are waiting to die, so maybe it can happen like within the next few hours. Then I was like thinking, wow, that would be the longest few hours in my life, waiting to die. And would I be able to how to say? Would I be suffering at that moment, in pain?
Yeah.
And would I be able to do breath meditation at that time? And it's this kind of question coming up.
Okay.
And then suddenly I'm like, I'm stuck. I'm like, what do you call? Because I never expect this kind of scenario that Ajahn will, give it to us. Yeah. So I'm stuck and I don't know how to proceed.
Okay, I think you're making it a bit too complicated, It's supposed to be very simple. You're just lying there, enjoying on the bed, relaxing, enjoying, just looking and just feeling, okay, my death is coming. Yeah, it's kind of, it's not, if it feels long, then it's probably not going to feel long when it happens. You're just kind of just waiting and kind of relaxing and enjoying it. And sometimes the breath is very easy at that time. Very easy because there's nothing to look forward to. You're not going anywhere. And this is kind of the point. There's nothing to hold on to anymore in the world. The idea is just to learn to let go because there's nothing to look forward to. There's nothing that you can hold on to. And you start to recognize that. So you have to really be there. You really have to be on your deathbed. Now is the time. Right now you are on your deathbed in a sense because you don't know when you're going to die. We're always on our deathbed. Always. Death is potentially around the corner. And when you do that, you don't pay so much significance to what is happening in this world because its significance is only there because we think there is a future. If there is no future, things are not significant anymore. So just enjoy lying there. What does it feel like? Don't think about it, feel it. Experience it. Experience death. If you knew that when you walk out of this building afterwards, you're going to fall down the stairs and die here. What does that feel like right now? If you know that you're going to fall down the stairs and die afterwards, are you ready for that? This is why at the beginning, I begin with the death contemplation. I say, you're on this deathbed. What does it feel like just to be there, knowing you're going to die here? It doesn't have to be a few hours. If you think it's too long, then say 1 minute. You're going to die in 1 minute instead. Sometimes 1 minute is too difficult, it's too close. So you say a few hours to make it possible to think it. If you're going to die in 1 minute, very hard to imagine. The closer it is, harder it is to imagine. But you want to ideally bring it very close. So what does it feel like? And this is the idea. And if it feels like there's a pain there, there's an attachment there, oh no, I'm not ready to die, Some people feel that, yeah? And when you feel that, then you know that there's something to be done. Why are you not ready? Because you're holding on to something. Because you've done something bad you're not proud of, you want to fix it up. Because you have some unfinished business with people, you have to ask for forgiveness or whatever. This is the purpose of that initial exercise. Feel what it feels like. Are there any issues you haven't resolved? Are there any problems there? Yeah, that's the idea of feeling it. And then you move on to the idea of letting go. I'm just helping you to visualize the letting go. That's why I'm saying the letting go in stages. But you don't have to do that. You can just feel the general sense of letting go of everything. So I'm just kind of pointing out the various things that you have to let go of. And sometimes when you let go of things like your mental content, your sense of identity, you feel very empty. It's a beautiful sense of emptiness. Sometimes we are afraid of emptiness, but emptiness is a very beautiful feeling. Because usually we hold on to all of these things that limit the mind, that constrain the mind, that contract it. But when you let go of all of that, it's like your mind can expand. And all you're left with is the good feelings inside. If you have lived well, you have the good feelings, they will still be there. It's just the limitations of your sense of self, your ego, will be gone. So try not to think too much, just feel, experience the dying process. When you're dying, you don't want to think too much anyway. When you're dying, you just let go, you allow things to be, you enjoy, sit back. I don't know, many people find it quite peaceful to go through the death contemplation, precisely because they have to let go.
How about the thought of anticipating how would it be like, during that last moment? Is that
This was my point. It's not like anything. It feels like it doesn't feel like you die. You're just suddenly you realize, oh, maybe I'm dead now. What happened? It's because the mind kind of moves. You let go of the body, and so you have released the body, as the mind is free to go anywhere. And suddenly you think, well, I'm probably dead now. Actually, what happened? It's just like a continuous process. Things just happen. It's not always like that. Sometimes it can be much more traumatic. Maybe you have an accident or something, the body is very painful, and suddenly you let go. There's all kind of possibilities in the dying process. But sometimes people are not aware that they have died. Sometimes people die during the night. And suddenly, my body is down there, I'm over here. If my body is there, I am here, I must be dead. So I'm dead now. But I don't feel dead. I'm here, so how can I be dead? It's kind of confusing, right? So death is not what we think it is. Death is a very different thing. And actually, the whole point of this process, death, if you are a good person, is a very pleasant thing, because you are letting go of something very heavy and uncomfortable. The body is a heavy thing. We don't know how heavy it is. And so you feel light, you feel happy, you feel glad. Wow, if this is death, I wish it had come before. No. I'm exaggerating, but it's you know what I mean. It's like that. Okay, this is not dangerous. Why was I afraid of this? But you have to live well for that to happen. If you live well, then you're going to have a good death. That's the point.
Okay. Thank you, Ajahn. I have never thought it that way.
Okay, that was different. Okay.
Ajahn, I would like to bring the discussion to the 2 paragraphs before this one. It makes reference here to say that if the gift is being given with consideration for consequences, the paragraph before this, Okay, it says here, they don't give the drugs and they give with consideration for consequences. Then whenever the results of any such gift manifest, their mind inclines toward enjoyment of nice food. So I need clarifications on, I thought when we gave with right understanding or genuine intention, so there's no attachment to sensual pleasure. So because I read the sentence there that there's no, the mind incline towards enjoyment. So when they say the mind inclines towards enjoyment, doesn't it mean attachment?
Not necessarily. I mean, I haven't looked at the underlying Pali, but the point is just that I think it's more like you are able to enjoy it. if you have made the wrong kind of karma, you're not able to enjoy the fine food. Yeah, it's very hard to enjoy it because the karma will block your ability. So here your mind is unblocked. That's what it means to incline towards it. We always want to enjoy the best kind of pleasures in the world. And so here you're taking away the things that stop you from being able to do that.
Okay, thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah. Yeah, it means like inclines or moves in that direction. Namati, is it? Yeah. Yes, actually, the Venerable behind has already got the microphone, so yeah.
The previous sutta, I think it talks about the practitioner practicing Brahma Vihara and then got reborn in the Brahmaloka, and then afterwards it goes to various celestial stages and human. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, in Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha made a distinction that the noble disciple, when they practice these 4 qualities, they are reborn in the Brahmaloka, and then afterwards they extinguish from there. Whereas for non-Aryan, after their expiration from the realm, they usually go straight down.
I don't think it says straight down. It says that they will be reborn there. And I think it means eventually.
Eventually, not directly.
Not
so
directly,
it's not necessary that once you expire, merits goes away, then you just.
No, I think that's very unlikely because your mind is still very pure. How can you get reborn straight in a bad realm with such a pure mind? I think that's really very unlikely. So I think this gradual movement down is much more natural.
Okay.
Yeah. That's also what you see in the Ajahn-sutta. The Ajahn-sutta is basically a long simile for how the mind works. Yeah, the Ajahn-sutta, we talk about the development of the beings that get greedy and they kind of become coarser and coarser and coarser. I think that's also a simile for how the mind develops over time from one birth to the next one. So it's always a gradual movement, I would say. But we're coming to that sutta later on, so we will see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.